allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment time, please come up, state your name, residence, keep your comments to 3 minutes, address the entire town board, not any single individual. Do I have anybody for public comment tonight? Come on up, please.
Diane Dintra, Fort Ewan. Now that recreation season is upon us, I have some comments and questions. Comments, questions, and requests about our parks. First of all, I want to thank everyone involved in getting the soft launch put in, the gravel dump down to help everybody for a big picnic that we had on Saturday. The leader of the group turned 80, as well as 4 other members in the group, and we're all circling the 80s now, so it really helps to have a safe launch. And I would hope that maybe and also scenic huts and the benches along the road are fantastic. It makes it so much easier for the elderly or those of us who have had an accident to get for a different perspective on the river. And I would like to see it, done too, like in Fear, like maybe one of the park benches put up at the top of the Fear walking trail. My questions I've asked before, I was wondering if the new Black Creek area is going to become part of the Hudson River Greenway Trail. They usually have an opening ceremony. And the other question was, again, the state parks or Turner Truth, are they still on schedule to open the swimming area in July? And will it be free to locals or seniors, or any information on that would be nice, because I guess we're going to have a very hot summer. Now, the thing I'm most concerned about was Tuesday, for the second year in a row, I went to Black Creek, and it was covered with signs saying that they were going to be doing treatment for harmful algae blooms. I had read in some of the kayaking sites that there was scum in that area, but I hadn't heard anything official. And I had gone to the site before going, and there was this is the DEC HAB site. And I know that they're doing a lot of work in training people to look for it and identify it, but there was nothing on the site either in advance or the day that we went there and found out that the following day there was going to be treatment for harmful algae blooms. And I guess these things can be pretty harmful both to humans and to pets, and there's just no communication whatsoever. And I think it's particularly important now that their signs are going up connecting the John Burroughs Black Creek Trail all the way from Highland down through Chattahoochee through John Burroughs to the river. That there's communication going on so that people can find out. We drove there and then found out, we didn't know if there were harmful algae blooms there, whether or not it was going to be some preventive treatment the following day, whether or not there was just some lapse that someone had told them and it just hadn't gotten put up on the site yet. But whatever it is, there's some sort of gap and things aren't working in terms of letting the public know about that. And it's kind of a problem, like these groups, like sometimes people come from quite far distances, so it's not just locals. And also you use different types of boats for different types of areas, so you don't know what to bring. So getting an unpleasant surprise like, nope, you probably shouldn't paddle here today, really isn't a fun thing to experience. And then, totally unconnected to that, I was wondering when the water repairs are going to be done on Stout Street, if that's going to affect the water in the peninsula, like on, my street, Minturn Street, and the streets going down there, Canal Street, East Main, and till then. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further public comments?
Hello, my name is Leah Fabish and I live in Ulster Park. My public comment today has to do with the building department and their handling of a recent complaint of violation that I filed. Just for a little backstory, I live next to a vacant lot, which is only 50 feet wide. It's an R40 zone. It's was an undeveloped forested piece of land. It has a stream bisecting it. Over the years, all of the trees have been torn down, and upwards of 40 dump truck loads of fill, gravel, and asphalt have been, filled into this lot, and it's turned into a parking lot. Over the years, the lot has been used to store various vehicles, including an RV, broken cars that have been towed in, excavating machinery, tractor trailers, and a large flatbed trailer. There's currently multiple storage containers on the lot used for storage. The owner also parks his truck with a 40-foot flatbed trailer that's used for a commercial carrier for hire business. The location is listed as the physical address for the commercial trucking business and the mailing address. The current town code does not permit abandoned vehicles to be stored on private property and only allows the temporary use of storage containers. The current town code also does not allow this property to be used for commercial purposes. The building department has officially determined that these violations do exist, but has told the property owner to put up a fence to screen the violations. Nothing has to be removed from the property. My ask of the town board is simply hiding violations, an acceptable remedy to close out complaints of violation. In addition, the town needs to look into vacant lot usage, because in my experience, this is a gray area in the town code. The building department has given permits to clear, grade, and develop an undersized property without a site plan and without regard for how the ground disturbance will affect neighboring properties. We also need more oversight when allowing stream disturbance and permanent culvert installation to avoid stormwater runoff and flooding issues. I personally have experienced multiple flooding events since the neighboring land has been filled and compacted. And I worry about the future as we encounter an increase in extreme weather events. It's my understanding that the town code is in place for a purpose, including but not limited to determining the character of the neighborhood and the safety and the well-being of the residents of the town of Esopus. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have copies.
Yes, please do something for the town clerk.
With the documentation from the
Thank you. Any further public comments?
I'm Perry Gallo from Sladesburg. Regarding the spade, I don't know if this is coming. Is the gate, the pressure plates unhooked down there where people can't get out after dark, after 9 o'clock?
Not that I'm-
Several people have been trapped behind there.
Not that I'm aware of. Saturday, Danny Better was called by me for overtime to go down there, based on a complaint. And Laura, I think, was the one that notified me originally. We did contact the sheriff's department to review the situation. He said the gate was partially up. There were some people that came out. He asked me about what time to go down there. I said, well, a little after 9, like 9:15 is reasonable. They should be out of there by then. He said a voter came out at 9:30 and one at 10 p.m. And so he subsequently said he called me around 10ish 4 p.m. The sheriff showed up. He said, I need to get off this conversation so I can have a conversation with the sheriff's department about going in there and checking the place more often. So that's where we are. He came back to me the beginning of the week, and Danny recommended that we need to set an example, that the past lax policies no longer exist. And we need to be going, and also the police officer recommended I take it for trespassing. Do you authorize it, Mr. Supervisor? I said I do. That's where we are at the moment.
Okay, those cars are still coming out after 10. I guess
This is Saturday.
last week somebody was there overnight camping and came out like 6 in the
Okay,
morning.
with that.
I have to ask Sharon. She told me about it. And then in regards to the fireworks this year, last year the fire department had a bunch of their families down around the turnaround, and they were having picnics and everything, and neighbors of mine walked down there and were told that they couldn't be there because it was a private event. So,
What property was this on, the old Costco property?
down by the sewer pump station. The turnaround at the bottom of North Broadway.
On Sharon's side?
Yeah, well, they
Not
parked
Susan
around the
Bentley.
whole circle, but people, had tables.
Not in the park itself, I mean, you're not talking.
No, not in the state, I'm talking.
Yeah, it was the old Costco property, I don't know,
Yeah.
it might go by another name now.
Well, it's the bottom of North Broadway.
That's further over
Yeah,
than what I'm
it's
talking about.
down in
That's
front of
over
Sharon.
by Sharon, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But, they told my neighbors that they couldn't be down there because it was for the fire department, and, they were pretty adamant about it, so they left. They can stay there to watch the fireworks.
I am aware that Sharon Jones had spoken to currently Lisa Wright, and said that she wanted Cafaldo to do something so they could get egress and ingress there for emergency services. And spoke to Mike, and I believe that conversation was conveyed to Sharon Jones as I requested. And that he has not in the past been involved with that situation whatsoever, contrary to what Sharon Jones was telling Lisa when Lisa was conveying to me. The sheriff, the police, the fire department has some broad powers, and they're there, I understood, for because of fireworks for fire prevention.
Oh, yeah, well, that's.
So that would make sense, right? And I think this is a discussion that some of the residents should be calling the fire chief of the Port Union Fire District on, and seeing what kind of response.
Well, I made a complaint to the last supervisor, and nowhere that went, so.
But what I'm saying is he does have some powers that I don't have as a fire chief of a fire department. And I think the residents should make their feelings known, what's going on, and send it in a letter form, copy me with a response so we can check how they respond to that. Because they do have a lot of powers in certain situations that I got.
And I don't know if the town has control of the road below Sharon's driveway, because I think it's private property from there down. But on the Costco side of the road, it's very steep embankment. There should be guardrails there.
The Sharon
You might
Jones
just
side.
have an easement to get to our pump station at that point.
Who would be responsible for the,
I think that's private property at that point. I believe we do have the maintenance easement on that pump station.
yeah,
That's
well,
where I
the
think-
town plows it and everything. But
Yeah,
Nick, excuse me for a moment, I don't like to put you in a spot, can you recall, is there some kind of easement there for the pump station down there?
Talking about North Broadway, sewer pump station?
Yeah,
I don't know of an easement, it's on the cul-de-sac right there.
plowed.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's always kept up, I just, for the whole reason that the sewer department we don't have.
So, okay.
I just want to touch on that gate quick. On the 18th, May 18th and June 5th, I know there were two people, I believe, I know the sheriffs were called on the one, I believe it's documented on the June 5th one also, where it was around 9:30ish, maybe a little later on the second one, where they ended up picking a boat at a different ramp. They got it picked out, and one of the people's vehicles were still at the spit, and they had to get back in. So the sheriffs were notified and didn't let them in the gate.
When was this?
May 18th and June 5th, I believe. It was around 9:30ish.
Well, something like that's fine.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So it's working a little bit, even though there are a few hiccups maybe with, here and there. There are a few documented things where the sheriffs were notified, so people aren't just running in and out.
Danny, like I said, on this past Saturday, I asked, he was gonna speak to the sheriff's department, and they did come at 10:04 and PM, and we've asked that, they take a little tour. I know that they have a limited manpower, but when they can in the vicinity to pop down there, we did check, they do have the, what do we call it, the pass to go in there.
The fob.
The fob. I also have one now. So we have that. We have some other issues that are not resolved yet, but that much we have.
Now, another thing I noticed that kayak launch is not in the water. Is there a problem with that?
That I don't know without asking Dan. I don't know. I had a request from Diane for stone down at Freer Park, as I recall, right?
Yes.
And I spoke to him in the morning, and he took care of your stone that afternoon.
All right, that's all. Thanks.
Any further public comment? Okay, thank you. Public comment is completed. We're taking notes on your concerns and try to do some follow-ups on that. But while we're in parks, we had a week that we had cooperation from the highway department and the building parks grounds department, which is only 3 men. With the ARPA money from the past, buying the supplies, and they may need a few extra supplies that we will take out of escrow if necessary without a problem. The new roof has been constructed on the bathroom at Ross Park. I don't know if the shingles are up today. Not yet. Okay, they're not up yet. Doors have to be done. The toilet should be all right, because I asked if we needed handicap toilets in there, and I'm told we have handicap over at the pavilion, so we meet the requirements. I was also told by Danny that the Johnny on the spot, I don't know what else you call it these days, but that also is handicap accessible, is what I was told by Dan. So that's in the works, and then we'll be moving forward, hopefully on the bathroom at Freer Park when we can get that scheduled. And of course, we have 2 pavilions, and we have to do this working between the 2 departments, and they had to get out there because they had to give a few days of lawn care up on the parks so they could get this project done. And then we will move forward on some of these other projects. As I've reiterated before, the pavilions were under the snow on pallets down at the highway garage, paid for by Bruderhoff, built by Amish, and they were there for COVID so people could get out under the pavilions in an open environment and didn't get put up except for the one that got put up over at Rear Park in Conley. So we're trying to get the other 2 done, and expenses will come out of escrow for that. So that's what's going on kind of in general for the parks at the moment on that part. Town board, you should have got a supervisor's monthly report. That I attended the climate change preparedness workshop, involved with the Esopus County Transportation Council. As you know, you passed the support for the letter of intent. The there's $7.2 million in County Transportation Council funds. I believe, as I think I said before, the DOT controls it. We needed an updated estimate. Herblitz was kind enough on my phone call to ask the bridge department of his corporation, GPI, if they could update it and yet not get us into a situation of conflict of interest, because their company would also like to bid. That was a request by Brian Stock from the planning department. That has occurred. The update came in just under 3 million, to 2.9 something. So they now review it at the DOT and the Transportation Council. So there's going to be reviews on that. You see the notes I have for Hudson 7. That one of the concentrations has been too on what Diane was speaking about earlier, the harmful algae bloom roadmap guide. The DEC on May 14th provide an overview. I don't know why they got May 14th. Hudson 7 subsequently issued a letter of appreciation to the DEC on that. So I would say that's where you can find more information if you contact the DEC on anything with the algae bloom. We don't have any notification on it, Diane. The HAB roadmap guide was officially adopted. Okay, they put the minutes from the main meeting on here. And we're working on things, the concerns from Hudson 7 Point, because we're all in this together. They're watching with the contamination site that we have from Central Hudson that can affect that lower end that I've mentioned in the past. The monthly meeting of the Essex County Supervisors, Mayors, they're looking at IT programming that the state is trying to address cybersecurity and how it can work in municipalities. I didn't have it on here, but there was also discussion when I talked to the supervisor of Marbletown. I did not attend this meeting, I was not up to it. On also health insurance and self-insurance with what the county's doing in Marshall Sterling. So there's not much, I don't have much details on that yet. So we'll be monitoring what's going on there. I did attend the Habitat for Humanity open house this Tuesday. Did a beautiful job. The average age of most of the people in their 70s that did a lot of the work on it. Really, really beautiful job. And they were quick. They got the approval from the, I believe it was the planning board, for the adjacent building that they're going to put up. I believe that was a modular, if I remember correctly, is what they told me. So that is in the works. The meeting I had with the building inspector this week was with Misha Kostanov. I don't know how to pronounce his name that well. And the county is trying to go for a $400,000 grant with no match required. That would enable assistance with working with the municipalities, charting cloud-based GIS system for the mapping, the record keeping. So we had a good meeting on that, and the department chair of the environmental department, he was on there as well. So I did that with the building inspector, and we will be participating in that. Chippy, I have good news on that. June 8th, correspondence to Assessor Shannon Harris that I asked to be updated, and also Councilwoman Ye is not here, but she is very much involved with Shannon and I on this. The attorney that I asked the board to support payment, which was a very reasonable bill that we paid for him for what he's doing. He attended the State Board of Equalization and Assessment on June 3rd. At the time, Chippy, through its attorney, argued that New York State franchise tax assessment should be reduced 40% due to the fact the transmission line had only been recently energized to Queens is where it's going. The board gave me, the attorney said, the opportunity to speak, and he reiterated his prior arguments, And Chippy's expert did not contain the facts, figures, or calculations to warrant a 40% assessment reduction. Prior to hearing of the review background information prepared by staff at the State Board of Equalization Assessment, an analysis was attached for review, and the resolution adopted by the State Board of Equalization Assessment, which thankfully affirmed at this point the prior decision not to reduce the assessment by 40%. We do expect an appeal, and also for recollection for the board, we are in this together with the town of Sorbes, the town of Ulster, the city of Kingston, and ourselves. So we're paying great deal of attention to that. When Shannon did all the assessment calculations this year, it would, depending on what happens here, being Central Hudson our #1 taxpayer, the assessment on the Chippy line would surpass that. They're also looking for some further reductions in that area, so we'll have to see where it goes. We don't know yet. There have been some constituent things that people have been concerned about. I spoke to a woman out in the Riften, Route 32, 213 area, requesting a traffic light. I had a whole list of things that I spoke to the DOT Region 8 on. What I suggested is there's not much likelihood from my conversation of that happening. However, I would contact the Riften Fire Department as my advice to her, and see how many accidents they can find and whatever things they feel are safety, from a safety perspective, are of concern, and then forward that to the DOT Region 8. And if they need a letter of support from this supervisor, they will get it.
Where was that?
That is as you go out of Riften to turn either to New Paltz, Route 32, or Rosendale. It's really a bad spot. I said I've had to go to Rosendale and turn around. But it's not all the time. And they look at how much, versus some of their other roads and so forth. There have been complaints. I got that at the Portland Diner about potholes on Word Street and Conley Road down here. That has been addressed in my conversation, and he said that he would get to it when they could. It's not the highest priority versus some of the other major roads and traffic volume that they have, but he knows about it. I asked about 2 poles that are missing along the boulevard here, Kenny Boulevard on our side. Nobody can tell me what happened to them or when, and Danny said anything that was hit, he's going for, after the insurance company, but it's been some time. The DOT has nothing available in their stash, but he did give me some references of some possibilities that we could look down the road, and there's no grant funding, there's no funding on their end. So that's going to be something that will just be in the works, and see if we can find something down the road at some point we could do. We have a resolution in a little while that I'll read to you about if you go Midtown Kingston, the flashing lights on a crosswalk. I witnessed between the post office and Stewart's, gentleman at the yellow line in the middle of the road, and the car just zoomed by him, right in the walkway. So he said there is some expected money, and we'll read that resolution, and I'll ask the board to approve that tonight, to do a study, and he wanted it very specific, and that's why it's very specific in the resolution. We had to do a little rewrite. He reviewed it for us, after Laura wrote it for me. So we're going to be in that if that opportunity should arise. So that's what I have for the moment, and now we want to go to the Robert Graves Elementary School participation in the 250 celebration, and Paul Brooks, Councilman Paul Brooks, is going to take this at this point.
I hope everybody knows the art coming in. That's from Graves Elementary students. It's part of that historic project. They did the artwork as part of their involvement with the town's commemoration to the 250th for the country. This is the other piece. The person who And really, the driver of this is Dana Fisher. She's an art teacher down there. She's led all the artwork and stuff, and she is part of the grant that we got from the county for the historic stuff. She is with another art teacher who's also a double history major, is going to do a mural at the school. And this is just a quick PowerPoint. I won't take up too much of your time.
Can you move that microphone up so
Yeah.
everybody?
How are we doing? Better? All right. So the mural is going to go on the back of the gymnasium in that little courtyard. And I will. All right. Oh. Here are ours. Historic tapestry woven through the eyes of the future. That's their logo. It's the town logo. Living Bridge honoring the historic tapestry of Esopus, led by Robert Graves, art teacher Dana Fisher, along with local artist Charlotte Darcy. And the creative students at Graves project weaves together our iconic flora, fauna, architecture, and historic figures with their own imaginative perspectives. By centering on their children's views of their home, collaboration creates a vibrant, enduring legacy that celebrates the shared history, our shared history and heritage. And that was an important aspect of the grant as well, that we come up with something that is going to be long listed. You know, events are fine, but this is something that's going to be around for a long, long time. Names for the mural. The lighthouse is one. That's one. Structural stitches. You've got Klein Circus Museum, the covered bridge. She's working in, and she'll be working with students at Graves to come up with how to implement these in the mural and to reflect these various themes. I'm sure the Carrick's Frankie will be in there someplace. The endangered species down at the Spit. Voices of the Past, Sojourner Truth, the Lenape Indians. All of that is going to be involved. I'm not going to worry about that. Thank you from Robert Graves Elementary School artists, and this best part. I love the photos of these kids at work. Pretty hard to beat that stuff. There you go. Thank you. That's it. Freaking easy. Yeah. And then there's more of the flyers of the rest of the events. There's a panel. Clark is going to be on it, discussing the history of the town on June 25th here at 5:30. 5? Yeah. And then we'll have a ceremony at the War Memorial on the 4th of July. And I'm working with the Klein Esopus Museum Board to come up with a broader than my original conception of a bus tour of historic sites in Kingston. We're shooting for sometime in July, so that we can, it'll take like an hour and a half, get a bus from the county, I hope, and then tour all these sites. If there's enough people, we'll do another tour, another round. So, we're looking to have fun and educate people in the process.
600. I will make a motion.
You want to tell them about it?
Well, just get him in, I'll bring him in. Yeah. Just make a motion to move it forward for approval. Would this be a second? Okay. Our water superintendent to explain this to you this evening. Okay. That's anywhere, or that's wherever we want to go. So. Okay, that's fine.
Well, folks, as Supervisor Cora just mentioned, so amendment number 7, that means a whole lot to anybody in particular, other than, so what we're talking about here is from time bond, and so time bond representative the liaison, I should say, between the town and the general contractor that's working for us right now out on Broadway. So with respect to the general contractor, Green Meadows, that's the company, let's see, so Ty and Bond projected So I'm reading this from the amendment. Our original proposal was based on a 6-month construction duration with 3 active months of construction. And now, because of some setbacks, which I'll touch on here in just a minute, we currently estimate that 9-month construction duration with 5 active months of actual construction. So where's the breakdown, right? So first off, the breakdown is nowhere in my department or my guys, or anybody in this room. Unfortunately, the breakdown is with how quickly Green Meadows was able to get started on the actual job itself. I think all of us that were really watching and kind of keeping our fingers crossed and waiting for any kind of work to begin, we were just very much so anticipating any day now, because if I remember correctly, it was April 2025 when the town board created a resolution to hire Green Meadows as the general contractor. So that sets a clock right afterwards where they will be notified by the engineering company and of course the town that they have the green light. And what I've experienced in the last 5 years for any capital improvement project, the general contractor will usually get right to work just as soon as they can. And in this case, I do believe that it was as soon as they could get to work. It just happened to take about 4 months or so here. So let's see. There were setbacks with when they were able to start. So April 2025 is when they received the green light to work. And then I was just reading it earlier. Okay, here it is. However, the contractor was not able to break ground until September 23rd, 2025 due to New York State Department of Transportation permitting delays. So again, I have no idea what's involved with New York State DOT permitting. It just happened to be Green Meadows that was our general contractor and going through these trials and tribulations with DOT. So that's exactly where we stood. 23 April 2025 came around, they started work, and then it got cold pretty quick, thereafter. So December is when they shut down, and then they pick up again this past spring. So that's why, again, Time Bond's original proposal was based on 6 months worth of construction, 3 active, and then 3 waiting out the winter. So that has turned into a total of 9-month construction with 5 active months. So that would put us in a substantial completion date of 31 July 2026. And then 1 month later, 31 August 2026, would be readiness for final payment. And just to answer any questions, if there's any lingering questions with respect to 9W and Hasbrook Loop, does the substantial completion date include both of those? And the answer is yes. So substantial completion for the entire project, which, if you remember, it's the 9W corridor and Hasbrook Loop, with the new estimated timeline, July 31st. And then the final payment would be a month later.
Do you want to explain first of all, I'll explain to them the loop goes from Paper Street, Spring Street, Hasbrook, over to Salem.
It does.
And there has been some difficulty in the past with acquiring easement, but you did deliver the paperwork today to the other concerned party, and it is now to their legal counsel, so we're hoping that everything goes well. She can sign it. We had to have some things rewritten by Polidoro, and we had some more further questions, had a little review before we took it over, so it should be fine. Just so you can get that would not inhibit the project from moving forward if their timing on it, because we want to keep the cost down than taking everything away and coming back in a month or 2, as we had discussed, with additional costs. What you might want to explain too, that we are within the parameters of the grant money and the EFC in the budget for this, so we're all right as far as the finances that have been allocated with any projected problems that we could have. We're going to be fine.
Absolutely. So as Supervisor Pecora just mentioned, it's been a roller coaster ride so thank the good Lord, first of all, that Green Meadows has taken a while out on 9W. And I say that lightly simply because this is a two-part project, and the second part is the Hasbrook Loop. What is the Hasbrook Loop? Just as Supervisor Pecora mentioned, we wanted to get this small piece of water main in the ground before my time, so before 5 years ago. But the project is extremely valuable simply because at the end of Hasbrook, that's a dead end. So the water main comes in, Hasbrook runs to the west, and then it stops, and it doesn't go anywhere else from there. So in any water distribution system, you want to have the least amount of dead ends possible for water quality. So because that is that's an area that's kind of butted right up against Salem Street. In the 2018 study by Time Bond, they sent their surveyor out. So this is before my time, supervisor's time, but they're human beings, and they assumed, and I would say rightfully so, assumed that the paper street belonged to the town of Esopus. So they sent their surveyor out, and then that plan was pushed forward and continued to push forward, and then of course we are where we're at now. We'll come to find out about a year ago to the day when I had my foreman out there just to do some measurements. I was advised that the woman that lives right at where the paper street is, it used to be called Spring Street. She had mentioned to him that that's her property, and she has a deed for it, which she does. So it's been a process to do our best and respect her privacy and her property, and ask respectfully for an easement. So that has definitely been a roller coaster ride, and we were able to touch base with her last night. Had good communication with her last night. She welcomed me to her home this morning. I brought the chair of my water board, Doug DeCosti, with me, and we did hand her the paperwork that Victoria Palladaro had initially drafted for us in late December, and then just had to update it. So the owner there, she mentioned to me that she would send this off to her attorney as quick as possible. I did mention to her, respectfully, that time is of the essence, and I truly believe that she understands that, and she's going to do the best she can do to get this thing returned to us, notarized, and we would be ready to go at that point in time. So once her signature is on it and it's notarized, the boss signed it and it's notarized, and at that point in time, we can go to work on a temporary easement, it's called, until all of the legal end is kind of filed away, I should say. So that's the Hasbrook Loop, small piece of water main that connects Hasbrook to Salem, and all 4,500 people in the water distribution system will benefit from it, not just the people that live right next to it.
Thank you, Nick. I'll ask for if there are any questions, but I should mention, and I mentioned this to you, I hope your board chairman did too, that at the end of Hasbrook, I have handicapped people from the cerebral palsy housing there. One is bedridden, some are wheelchairs. I am very concerned about our flow, our pressure, and particularly that area in a fire situation. And from what I've been told, this will be an improvement for all of that, as well as all the consumers and customers of the water district, correct?
That is correct.
Any questions from the board?
Is there this extension is for Time Bond, right? For the additional work that they're doing, the 89,000?
Yes, sir.
Is there an impact similarly on the general contractor and its expense?
So that's a good question. I guess there's two scenarios. Scenario number one, we don't get the easement in time. Scenario number two, we get the easement in time and we go to work. So scenario number one, if the easement's not filed or we don't have the easement in time, that was the question I had asked quite a while ago and then had to brush up on again last week. What happens then? Is the town on the hook for any egg in the face bad news? And basically the answer is Time Bond flat out told me that other than other than not looking so good for the town of Esopus, there would be some money saved because that part of the project wouldn't get done, and the contractor would go home, pack it up, and pack it in. Now, Murphy's Law says that as soon as that happens, they pack up and go home. We receive the easement the next day, presumably. And in that case, whether we receive the easement the next day, the next month, the next year, whatever, it's like we would be starting all over again, and whoever the general contractor is, would have to remobilize or mobilize from the very beginning. So that's scenario number one. Scenario number two, there really is no adverse reaction that would affect the town. We just roll right into the easement comes through, and as soon as Green Meadow says, hey Nick, or hey boss, can we get rolling over there? Can we start staging vehicles or whatever? Sure, go ahead.
And that work is already covered by the existing financing?
It is. Yep. So the $89,000 to pick up the additional handful of months that wasn't accounted for. A big portion of that also consists of 9W is a state road. So because it's a state road, New York State DOT requires any improvement on a state road when you're tearing up or we're tearing up the road, they require an inspector from whoever's engineering company to be on the scene all day, every day. So for those of you who drive through, town multiple times per day, you'll see a younger female by the name of Brianna. She works for Time Bond. She's a wonderful woman, and I give her a ton of credit because she's been out there every day and looking at a massive hole in the ground, and her job and her trade is not construction. She's she's either an engineer or an engineering training, but she's an inspector, and she's done a great job. She's human just like we are, and of course makes mistakes, but she has been out there simply because DOT requires it. It's their road, and that's one of their requirements. That's a big chunk of the extra cost here.
Yeah, that's added a lot to it.
So where were we getting the other 89,000?
So the 89,000 gets lumped into the entire cost here. So if you recall, or if you don't recall, the water main improvements, so 9W, Hasbrook, the future water main improvements, East Stout, are part of the exact same WIA grant as the water treatment plant upgrade. So I've called these projects the big three since I started: the water tank, the water plant, and the water mains. Out of those three, there's 2 grants. Thank you. So there's 2 grants that cover all 3 of those. So the water mains, the water main is covered also underneath within the water treatment plant. So when Time Bond, when they were able to get real-time live numbers with interest rates when the water plant started, and then when the water main started, they compiled a growing list of their fees, of course, what they projected for contractors, and then they lumped in 3 to 5% contingency. So, long story short, because this is very number heavy, this is right from Dan Valentine's email I'll read here, basically. At the end of everything I just mentioned, we believe there will be approximately $63,000 remaining in the unit price Broadway and Hasbrook Avenue water main contract at the completion of construction. So, not to be confused with East Stout yet, this is just for right now, for what we've already used for the water plant, which has been done since 2022, and then the additional cost for 9W and Hasbrook. This $89,000. If we were to finish right now, yeah, it'd be plus $63,000 in the green right now. Of course, there'll be some costs that come up, maybe a couple more change orders here and there, but there's a good chunk of change that's purposely added in there for these kind of things.
And just to add on, in case it does come up, and we're questioning why we have another change order. If there was, so in the initial bid, they have a mobilization, demobilization. So for them to get their equipment here, let's say it's $20,000 line item in that bid. If they demow and then we have to have them come back because it was our fault, it wasn't ready, then it would be the extra 20,000. I don't know that number, but I'm just using that as an example. So in case that comes across, that could be a reason for an extra expenditure.
And that's why I've been pushing so hard to try to get.
Right, no, I think we're in good shape. Like I said, you've been pushing with the lawyers, and Nick and Doug have been going the extra mile, so I think.
And not to cut into the negotiation with the property owner, is an easement, have a financial dimension to it?
Does not.
Just the legal cost of making it up.
So I should follow that up by saying it does not have money changing hands. You know, the town, it's more of some riders in the actual agreement that was worked out for the property owner. To include, you know, helping her driveway out, to get rid of the tree.
Yeah, pretty much anything that would be disturbed and would be hurting us in the long run, we're taking care of, which also helps the property owners.
Yeah. You got Williams on one side, you got Provenzano on the other side. Williams is not a problem, we just needed to get things the way it needed to be for Provenzano, and hopefully it meets your satisfaction, and we handed it off to, I think, the right people to go handle the situation. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So we, no more, I can take a vote on this. All in favor?
You have the first and you have the second, so you can vote.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And we'll do for Councilwoman Ye, can I say excused? Or do I gotta use absent? Okay. I didn't know if you needed it or not, Nick, but I asked him to put this information.
Okay, thank you.
Just in case.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming tonight, Nick.
Yes, no problem.
Okay, next thing. Authorizing Judge Kyle Barnett to attend the required New York State Office of Court Administration training. I'll make a motion to authorize Judge Kyle Barnett to attend the required New York State Office of Court Administration training at the New York State Magistrates Association Annual Conference, September 27th, 2026 through September 30th, 2026 at the Crown Plaza, Albany, the Desmond Hotel, Albany, New York's, and I need a second on that.
I'll second.
Okay, Bruce made a second, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Resolution requesting New York State Transportation, that's the one I wanted to get to the board this month, so we're in the hopper, or as they say at the DOT, to meet in the queue. Resolution requesting the New York State Department of Transportation to evaluate certain pedestrian crossings in the town of Esopus for rectangular rapid flashing beacons, RRFBs, and to include the town in future pedestrian safety funding opportunities. Whereas the town board of the town of Esopus recognizes the importance of protecting pedestrians and enhancing public safety along state and local roadways, and whereas increasing pedestrian activity, vehicle traffic, and concerns regarding pedestrian visibility have highlighted the need for enhanced crosswalk safety measures within the hamlet of Port Hume, and whereas modern pedestrian safety technologies, including rectangular rapid flashing beacons, RRFBs, have proven effective in increasing driver awareness and improving pedestrian safety at uncontrolled pedestrian crossings, and whereas the town board has identified the following pedestrian crossings as locations warranting further evaluation: Stout Avenue and Broadway is number 1, number 2, Main Street and Broadway, and number 3, Sunset Drive and Broadway. And whereas New York State DOT administers and participates in various state and federal funding programs that may support pedestrian safety improvements, including but not limited to the Consolidated Local Street and Highway Improvement Program, CHIPS, and the Safe Streets and Roads for All, SS4A program, and and other transportation safety measures. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Esopus formally requests that the New York State DOT conduct or include within an existing or future pedestrian crossing safety study an evaluation of the pedestrian crossings located at Stout Avenue, Broadway, Main Street and Broadway, Sunset Drive and Broadway in the hamlet of Port Union to determine whether rectangular rapid flashing beacons are RRFBs or other pedestrian safety enhancements are warranted at any of all of these locations, and be further resolved that should the New York State DOT determine that RRFBs or other pedestrian safety improvements are warranted at one or more of the identified crossings, the town board requests that the town of Esopus be considered and included in any current or future state or federal funding applications, programs, grants, or initiatives that may provide financial assistance for the design, installation, and implementation of such improvements. And I don't know why the end is there.
I don't know why she did that either.
I don't know. Okay, we'll just cross that.
And
And period, yeah. Okay, so I read it. We made a motion in a second or not?
we need a second.
We need a second on that? I made a motion for it, right?
Second.
Okay, second, Councilman Brooks. Any further discussion of the, and all I do want to say in the discussion period is to reiterate that we did run this by the DOT Region 8, and this is the way they wanted it worded. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, policy on town-owned vehicles, you have a draft policy on town-owned vehicles and adopt as appropriate with the particular.
It depends on what you're moving on.
Yeah, okay, so, where is it? Here it is. We have been working on a written policy regarding the town vehicle use policy. It's up to you. I don't know if you've all had a chance to read this. We can refer to the next board meeting if you want. Basically, all town-owned vehicles are to stay here. There are some things written in here that explain that, and that all town vehicles are to have emblems on them, the larger emblems. So, have you had a chance? Do you need a moment, or do you want to refer? The sooner I have it in place, the better.
I've checked some of the, I've run through it tonight.
Yeah, you need a little time?
I just have a few questions. Now, are highway super, water super, they're currently using them
Water super is
as given?
Yes, he is, and the superintendent of highways, yeah, and there is a difference between the two, one being an elected official, the other one not.
Right, I was just, that being past practice as far as I remember. I don't, if that came with the job, are we doing anything as a stipend if we're taking something away from them?
I don't believe that came with the job in regard to the water superintendent. Nobody has notified me as such. That it was approved under the previous supervisor. Yes, it was, from what I understand. He had asked me in January about it. I was rather green and was thinking, there's emergencies and stuff, but the bookkeeper says most of the time it's the local staff that's handling it. And she was telling me, we're getting a lot of mileage and we're getting a lot of gasoline charges.
Right, no, I'm just wondering if that was past practice for previous.
From the prior superintendent, from what the bookkeeper told me, Don Kiernan took it home once and people were raising hell about it.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking if it's been something that was included in both jobs, elected or not. That's still a town vehicle, so does that not apply to an elected official? It's still a town vehicle.
In regard to the highway department.
Right. I'm just bringing up a few points. That being one of them, if we're taking something that's you know,
He takes it, from what I understand, he takes it home and then he takes his own truck. He's not traveling all over with it. I
Right,
mean, if
right.
you want more clarification, I'd have to ask him, but I am not aware of anything else occurring as far as him running around to the grocery store or here or there, or, you know, anything like that.
Mhm.
I'm only aware of him, I was told, taking it home and
I'm
then
not-
taking his truck.
Yeah, I'm not accusing
Yeah,
anyone.
no,
I'm
no,
just
that's
saying,
all I know.
if we're taking something, should we be compensating?
Well, I don't see
based
any
on-
need for compensation in the superintendent of highway on that one. I mean, if you want to discuss,
it's a topic for discussion.
yeah, if you want to
A
discuss
few-
further on the water superintendent, we can have a little further discussion on that. I'm not, as I told Councilman Brooks earlier, I am not targeting anybody. It used to be a policy that nobody took their trucks home, and somehow we got away from it. So I'm tightening the ship.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it from that aspect, as well as, I know,
And you're working
anytime I
on,
see these things come in, I see it as, it can target some of the employees, so that's why I'm just.
yeah,
looking-
no, there's no target on.
I know, that's not the intention, but then it can be used, because, you know, now it comes down to, is there a thing if it's, you know, you're working within the town and someone takes it to get lunch? Because you're in the truck, rather than go all the way back across town, now we stop at Smitty's, oh, he was using it for personal use. I'm just saying, things I've seen with policies like this is why I try to leave it up to department heads to govern their own. I understand there are reasons why sometimes these have to be put in, but it's just, you know, it can be, oh, that guy stopped there and he got lunch, and it's just an aspect that I'm looking at. Also,
I don't think to be honest with you, I don't think that was envisioned in this policy of going after anybody taking a truck. You're down the highway and you go to Stewart's to get a sandwich or something. I don't think that was in the framework of anything we were thinking about.
I know, I think verbiage to protect somebody against
Right.
that would be helpful.
If you would like to make some concerns, a list of a few concerns, we can do a little further
Yeah,
work
yeah.
on it. I don't have a problem with that.
Right,
But I
no,
want to
I'm-
make it clear, I'm not targeting anybody.
No, I'm not saying, I'm saying these can be used to target people, you know.
Right.
Just a few things on the tickets, you know, I would say excluding DOT violations, if it was an inspection item, you know, that's for the large truck, they get pulled in, something's wrong with the truck, the tickets go to the driver and the company, you know, so you wanna protect that guy saying, hey, you know, he inspected it the best he could, but something happened, so, you know, that would, because we have, you know, responsible for any traffic tickets, I just wanna make sure DOT would be excluded. And I think, and we may not have to tell you the truth, but I think it would be smart of us, because there is violations, you know, that disciplinary action that can occur from any violations, that we should run it through Mike Kuski in the union and just get their opinion on it if we are gonna.
Oh, because of the water department, Mike Kuski, but is he represented by the union? I don't recall.
With highway also.
The superintendent, well, it would only be the.
Well, it'd only be but their
Superintendent.
vehicle use, you know, if this is gonna pertain to those trucks
Okay,
too.
I see what you're saying.
For the disciplinary action, we're gonna have to get.
Shannon and I worked on this. This is our first attempt at a written policy to bring forth to you, and if you could make a list of your concerns, that would be helpful.
Yeah, no problem.
And anything you come up with, Evelyn, if you see something, or Paul.
How many were we talking about? How many vehicles?
I'm only aware of 2 vehicles, highway and water
Building department?
department.
It's not, and there's a building department.
Building department leaves the Jeep here. There's only 2, as I stated. They're the only 2. And that's all I'm aware of. I am aware of that there was, when somebody previously worked in the building department, some commotion about, well, that department has it, why can't I take the Jeep home? And that's before my time. I just want to avoid those kind of situations going down the road further, as I've smartened up on this whole thing a little bit. Because I was thinking, you're on call like a fire chief, a lot of fire departments take their vehicles home. Well, we're a little different situation here.
And so, I would operate in a situation where like, you know, a winter storm is coming, you know, and the water department, the supervisor might be called, same with the highway department, superintendent, would they be allowed under those kind of conditions to, in advance, in preparation for?
Or he would have, if he knew in advance the storm was calling and he asked for permission, and we put it in there that you give me the authority to allow it, we could do that. Okay, I'm not objectionable to that. Because that truck might be better than what he has, because, for instance, this particular, water superintendent lives down towards Wappingers, so it's a little bit of a travel if he's down there, you know? So you can have another employee in Rhinebeck or Redwood. You can't project in the future, but the key is that we should have a policy and it should be in writing, and that should be followed, and we don't have that now. I also have to work on a safety policy, because we have lawsuits, and a safety checklist on these parks.
And like a supervisor like that, if they use their own vehicle to come from home to the workplace, do we pay their mileage in those kind of situations? I don't know what the mileage.
Not that I know of, no. No, if they're traveling on town business,
No.
if you mean traveling,
If, you know, like if they're coming
If the water
from.
main break, he doesn't get paid for coming over.
no. But if
That's what you're referring
that's
to.
what you mean.
I didn't hear that.
I said, if you're referring to, like, say there's a water main break and he has to come back from his house,
Yeah.
he's not paid mileage.
Right. I guess, do we have a mileage policy?
You do have a mileage policy. That's usually like when you're traveling to training
Conferences.
or meetings or things of that.
When I go to Albany for a conference, I can put in for
I
mileage.
filed a mileage for the
Right.
And that's the standard IRS rate, so.
Yeah.
Right, and my concern too is the employees of the water department and the employees, not just the superintendents and the employees of the highway are going, once this vehicle policy is in effect, they are affected by it, because even though they're using town vehicles every single day, so that's just.
Well, that's descending on their job, when they're on the job, not when
Right,
they're off the job.
once the policy is in, it's.
Oh, you're talking like lunch break or something.
Just anything with
They get called out for a water break.
no, just every day they're going to be operating a town vehicle at that point, well, which they are doing, so once this policy, it technically does affect that.
And
I guess it's kind of like the place per park, and the gates up and down, there's some discretion involved, right, the people who are enforcing it, you have to give some credit, like if, I would not object if somebody was in a town truck and their wife called and said, we need milk. Can you stop at Stewart's and get milk on the way home? You know, when you're driving around town, if you happen to go by Stewart's, that's a personal errand, and here it says they're not supposed to use, town vehicles should not be used for personal errands. I mean, but, we're not ogres. We're not looking to punish anybody for something.
this is our first attempt to get something written, I mean.
You might be an ogre yet, I don't.
But, that's why I brought it to you, and I saw some really good stuff in there, and who said it can't be improved, so make your points. And
I do have one concern too, regarding taking the jurisdiction, the authority of the supervisor or the, Mike or Nick. I think that they should be the ones who make that decision, not just have it as a blanket decision on the town.
particularly, not sure, following particularly on that.
That
Who's going to say, right now, Nick has been taking it back and forth every day for personal home back.
to Wappingers and back.
Right. And then I get from the bookkeeper hearing about the gas charges. Okay, so and then I heard about the situation with Kieran, that happened once when he was here. That people raised hell that he took his car home one day. So I'm trying to come up with a written policy for vehicles.
I guess my concern is if we're coming up with a blanket gonna cover everything, then it might be a bit of an overkill. Should we just address the specific issue or the specific concern?
I think it should be an overall policy for the town on use of vehicles, is my take on it. You can ask the county what they have, because I'm sure they do have one.
The vehicle is left here from 9, they can only use it during their work hours.
Right.
So then you're not talking about if they stop at lunch.
I never envisioned that.
I know, but when you do a blanket policy, you got to make sure everything is being considered.
No, good point. I mean, find that ground that we should be where we should be.
Yeah.
I think our written policy is a useful thing, and I'm sure there are other, county does it, I'm sure the school district do it, all those organizations have a policy, I'm sure, which I've never bothered to look it up.
So we can work on it some more. Just give me your criticisms and your points, and then we'll work on it some more, and we'll see what the county has also. But it's a starting point at least. I think, we've tried to put some time into it already, and we can maybe refine it some more. So.
And then also, how much do we anticipate saving?
I'd have to ask. That's a hard thing to know.
Well, but that's the concern.
That I don't know.
Gas prices.
How am I gonna, for instance, one particular individual right now that I mentioned, and I don't want to be targeting him, because I happen to think a lot of it, but in a situation, how do you break down on a WEX card, which is what we use, right? Just like the state, I used it there for the vehicles for the state, when I was working with the state, get the WEX card. How do you break that down from personal to on the job?
Right.
So you have to separate it somehow.
And how, and who's going to,
If that's what.
a lot of questions that come up with this.
Most, I think.
Enforcement being one of them. How do you enforce this policy? So, yeah, it's a lot of work to work on some more.
Well, it's a start.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just, you have it, we won't move on it. I'll wait to hear from all of you. And we'll see if we can improve it. That's something that's livable. Again, I don't want anybody in any situation targeted where they should have the use of a vehicle either. So I'll just put it on, I'm just gonna put it on hold. There. Okay, we got a lightning round, Paul Brooks, Building Department, Planning, Zoning.
Yeah, I had a meeting with the building department this afternoon. They're making progress on the MS4 inspections. They anticipate that they'll have those covered within the time frame specified by EPA. We had part of the discussion was on complaints. I get complaints frequently. Got a complaint from when I was walking my dog the other day. Somebody stopped me and they asked about a complaint, an issue that they had. So, they're common. I had Mark give me out of Mucity, which has a formal online complaint process form. For 5 years, there were 235 complaints for 5 years. 60% of those are still open. And there are 5, at least the way I looked at it, 5 buildings with dangerous conditions that are still open, I believe. So they're going to take a look at that and try to resolve some of that. The planning board had, its meeting on Monday night. Tried to help out a couple of people who had a concern over moving a lot line, and the board worked with this gentleman for a long time and resolved the issue. It was well done on their part. And the next night, the zoning board approved a zone variance for a 40-foot long storage container.
to allow it to be used as a accessory storage unit. And then,
What's an accessory storage unit? I've heard of accessory dwelling units, is that what they're
apparently
talking
it's in the
about?
code, it's accessory storage unit. Although the chairman of the ZBA applied a state standard, which in his opinion superseded the local standard. Because the local standard is it's not supposed to be any bigger than 20 feet long. So, and the planning board had sent a request to the zoning board of appeals to try to determine what is a permanent use of one of those storage containers or temporary, because those are issues in the code. These people wanted, in this particular case, wanted to use this as a permanent. And so the zoning board of appeals had some questions about the format that the request came, so I guess that's going back to the planning board to resolve, but it's the number of storage containers around town, they're
Are you talking-
around, a lot of them, and it's gonna be an issue that's not gonna go away.
Are you
for the
talking about those?
Shipping containers,
Yeah, like those trailer things?
they're not trailers, they're,
I
what
mean,
you see on a,
Like Dollar General, the ones that are down
like
there.
a $4.
Okay, those were given special permission, okay. But I know that when
Well,
we
under
did have
the
those.
code, they can have 6.
And,
I'm not sure if it, I don't have the expertise that the planning board members and zoning board of appeals are going to do, but in my personal opinion, 6 is too many.
in the codes, a few years ago, we did, ban those, the new uses, I think that, or there was something in the
That's what
code,
the-
I have to go back and look at it.
That's,
But there are still some that were grandfathered in, they're still there. There are a lot of old containers, I'd love to see them gone
zoning
too.
board of appeals one that they had, they granted a variance for, was not grandfathered in. I don't know exactly when it was put on the property, but I don't think it's been there for 15 years or anything. So, again, it's just an ongoing issue that's gonna have to be resolved sooner or later.
I
Sooner or
think
later.
we need to start by looking at the code.
Can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Look, we need to start by looking at our code, and perhaps the code
Well,
has to
we
be
have
updated.
a zoning update panel that's gonna start meeting soon, so we'll take a look at it. But,
I'm talking about the town board looking at the code,
pardon me?
that the town board would need to look at the code.
Absolutely, I mean, when the
There
community
have
is
to be
done,
changes.
and it's gotta go to the public hearing and come back to the town board, that whole process. Reviewed by all the departments, everything.
Okay, everyone?
Actually, nothing, because the environmental committee was supposed to meet last night, they were unable to meet. No updates with them.
And the Justice Court, we already did the resolution for the judge.
Correct. And the transfer station. There's work that's being done there that we're
We
looking
are.
at.
Yeah, we're looking at, in the future, how we're going to measure our garbage. We're looking for some remedies. It's a rather frustrating situation at the moment, but we're working on it. Jared?
So the main update was with Nick that he spoke on, right now, as far as the highway, nothing to tap into right now, and then, Waterfront Advisory Board, we can keep an eye out, they are going to be changing the meeting dates and days each month. They have a few different things they're going through, because a lot of the members, we have some new members, and then a lot of the previous members are having some conflicts. So I don't know, did they decide on a date? Yeah, or last email I saw this afternoon didn't have, they were charting, they're trying to check everything, so I'm sure Kyra's working hard on it, she'll get a day shortly for us.
Water sewer you really spoke to already.
Right.
We're gonna be fine with, from everything I've been told on those numbers.
Right.
gets to her lawyer and she doesn't hold them up, and save her money as a taxpayer too. Councilwoman Ye is absent tonight, and I did give you the update on Chip B from the assessor. Buildings and grounds, you pretty much know what our guys are doing right now, the parks and recs, and that's all I have on that. On economic development, I should mention that Mark from the building department asked me if I still had the interest from Esopus Barnes, what's his name down there? Jordan Goldberg, about the one building he's got there along the creek for John Burroughs. And I said, I absolutely do. He's very much interested in moving that forward. But because of all the other things we've been dealing with, I haven't had a chance to discuss it with him. So I want to get involved in more of a discussion on that, and reach out to Joan Burroughs on this, because we really need her blessing on this kind of thing. But he's got the building. It's not very big, but it's perfect for, I think, when we talk about it. So that's in the future. Should we go to budget adjustments and about what do you want to do? You want to do the copier first? Oh, okay.
That was my update.
Oh, okay.
Roscoe, before you go away, you have this, letter here regarding, was this something that you?
What letter is that?
With the recreation for the youth, is this a new letter?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, thank you, I'm sorry about that. Let me see where I have it here. Oh, yes, but we have that, I'll bring that in a little bit later, I have it in number 9.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, because we have it, I know it was there, and we had it on the schedule, and then we'll talk about that. Okay, but it's good you should brought it up, go ahead. read it.
Absolutely. So, just a quick thing, our copier that we have had here is, the contract runs out at the end of the month. They're coming up with a new, we always had the opportunity to buy it outright. That unit that's in there was discontinued in 22. So although we've been able to get our service and everything on it, to buy it outright does not make good sense right now. So we stuck with a machine that's very similar, to just swap it out and just keep things status quo. The one good thing about the new process, the new feeder on the top, Lisa will love this, Laura will love this, I know I will love it. The deck allows you to double scan at one time. So you don't have the paper jams of the paper coming in and out of the unit, so there's less breakdown. When we start scanning and making more files electronic, that's going to have a huge impact and save time, less damage to the original documents that are there. So that's a perk. The other thing that it will also have is it will serve as our fax machine. Our fax machine has been on the fritz, and we'll be able to receive and send faxes, scan from there, and every department head, it's already built into our system that we have now. We just haven't been fully utilizing it because we had an operational fax machine, but you will be able, the town employees will be able to send and receive to their personal emails. Once that's set up with Vic, and I'll set up a meeting and coordinate all of that. So I just need a motion for Roscoe to be able to sign this contract so we can move forward with the same copy setup as we have currently. They did increase our copy count by 1,000 pages, because what was happening is if we went over, we were getting surcharged. So with this new bump in, by going up 1,000 pages, we should not have any overcharges whatsoever on that contract. So that's the only things that I have to say.
So I'll make a motion to authorize Supervisor Picard to sign the 2026 lease contract for the replacement of the Kaiser Tascalapa MZ4001, I think it's an copier machine. And I need a second on that.
Second.
Evelyn, any further discussion? All in
When can
favor?
you get it?
We'll be getting it by July 1st. Yeah, so there's no downtime. And I gotta say, they are excellent with their service when they come in.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, summer camp. They're already in the process of registering children. We take that out of the contractual line in the recreation budget, which had 400, we're down to 1,600, and so we're limited in what we can do. And I talked to Heidi Kirshner today from the Y, and there's also some funding through, I think, the Youth Bureau.
I'll explain that in a second.
Yeah. So we have a what we can offer is a summer camp of $100 per child discount to the town of Esopus residents. And so the money's used up, and maybe you can help with this one a little bit, Evelyn, of where we're at on this. We don't run any programs here at the park like when I was growing up, which is kind of sad, but then it gets into a lot more costs. And
A lot of costs because you have to pay, and then you have the insurance costs for having,
Tier 4 pension system for
Yeah.
even a teacher in the summer.
and I was, Debbie was saying, some of those kids are still in the pension system until they say that they don't want to be. So she still has to pay for that. But with the state of New York, the youth development program, they will reimburse the towns, up to a certain amount. We put in an application with the Youth Bureau, and when the state provides the funding, then the Youth Bureau will reimburse us for the money up to the amount that we have contracted with them. Okay, so if we only ask for $1,000, we may only get $1,000. If we ask for more, we might not get that extra.
Now, I understand some people have already registered. We have 2-3 phone calls on it that I know about. So we might have to do some kind of reimbursement or something.
Well,
I'm not sure.
It's look at it as a camp scholarship program,
Okay.
so that the youth would be getting that scholarship from the town.
Okay.
So they would have to be, if the town asks the parents sign or something that
They're a
their
resident
children
here.
are going, yes, they're resident, that the kids that are going to camp, Siwakamano, or one of the Y camps, not other camps, but the Y, we're with the Y, that the town will, and they show you their receipt.
Right, and they paid already.
They've already
so
paid.
We have to probably do the
We
reimbursement. We
can get
might be able to get back some of it through the Youth Program Bureau on that state grant later on.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, through our application.
Because we don't want to have that problem if somebody just registers, we have everything in place, because we're a little late this year with doing this.
And it depends on if they still have openings in camp.
Yeah, there's limited openings, but we do have some situations where 1 or 2 have already registered some children, and then somebody else registered, you registered, you can't get the money now. So we didn't want to get into that kind of situation. We were talking to Heidi today about it.
Oh, they can, but the money's gonna be coming from the town,
Right.
right? and then the state reimburses the town later, right?
But we can't take it off, as I understood it, we can't take it, send it to the Y.
No, no.
So,
If I remember right, what would you think, was it 9 or 12 kids total that did it all last year?
I think
I
so.
don't, yeah.
You're in the range.
It was somewhere around
10
there.
is the number I had.
Right, so,
You're in the
So
range.
like $1,000.
So we'll be able to handle it.
it was nice, and I know the families, they all appreciate it.
I know Andrew, Paul, and I know Shannon's one kid I think registered, and I think there was one other I remember. But we might get one or two more. They can't tell us for sure until we can verify. They have to be a Esopus resident, right? So,
We may be able to put in for other things too in our application. We do the movie nights. So we might have to document how many youth attend, that type of thing, but, there are other things that we can put into our application with the youth bureau
Oh, okay. Okay, so we have to do a little more.
when we do our youth bureau application.
Okay. So I know who to call.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I need a motion, let's see, what do we have one? Motion made to partner with the YMCA and have the town offer a monetary discount up to $100 per child total towards the summer camp registration for the town of Esopus residents. And those programs are not cheap. I was looking at the fees, so it's really only a little.
That's why the town can't really afford to have its own camp.
No, and then you can't have anybody else around them in the park anymore because of.
Right, when
Security
the Y
reasons.
tried to do the program here at our camp the first year, and people were upset because, while the camp was in session, they could not allow other people to be near those kids because of the insurance.
Yeah, for many reasons, yeah. So things have really changed. So I made a motion, right? And we need a second.
I'll second.
Does somebody make a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I need a motion. Oh, we got budget, yeah, I was like, you only had it, okay. Yes, or I'll be in trouble. Resolution authorizing payment of bills June 2026. Be resolved by the town board of the town of Esopus, county of Ulster as follows. Whereas the town of Esopus has been presented with vouchers for payment, and these vouchers have been examined and approved by the town board, therefore be it resolved that the following vouchers can be approved for payment. General Fund 261217-261258, $87,914.96. Highway Fund 262111-262131, $61,220.77. Street Lights 2660006, -266-007, $20,593.41. Portland Sewer Fund 263079-263096, $10,996.65. Portland Water 264102-264118, $23,323.07. Capital Water 265014-265016, $171,443.00. Escrow 0 right now, total $375,491.86. Also vote. Can I have a second? Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. What? What are you
It's a
looking?
two-sided form, you gotta do the budget adjustments.
That's what I was given. Okay, we have another one. No, I didn't get that, unless it's here. I don't know that, oh, yeah, it's, okay. That's what happened. Sometimes, it's done on both sides. Budget, thank you. Budget adjustments, June 2026. Be it resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Esopus, County of Ulster as follows. Whereas the Town of Esopus has been presented with budget adjustments, which the Town Board has examined and approved, therefore be it resolved that the following budget adjustments be approved for payment. LI.0599.0000 fund balance to LI.5182.400 Portland Light District 15,191.32 L40599.0000 fund balance to L4.5182.400 Riften Light District 512.85. Also move. I need a second. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. So done. Now I can have a motion to close the meeting. Is there something else? Wait a minute. Oh yes. Yeah, I don't think I had that done earlier. Where was that? That was after this.
Then it just got out of order, so just, if you're mentioning it, that's what.
Right, okay. For public notice, we'd like to announce any qualified candidates for town justice position should submit their resumes and qualifications no later than July 13th, 2026 to the town clerk's office. So that's what we would like from anybody that's interested. And that's it, right?
Did you have to do the reservation?
That was in the packet too.
That was in the packet.
But I mean, it's nothing that we.
Nothing I have to do or act on.
Okay, I know, but you have to.
But you can recognize it, we can put it in the, I can back it up and put it in the lightning round for the planning board, we have a resignation for it.
I don't think I have it here.
Okay, yeah, I think we should do that.
Okay.
Were you putting it in?
She
On the
just wants it
planning board.
mentioned and recorded
In
in
the
the
re-
update.
Okay, in the
That,
update of the minutes.
There was a resignation,
We had a resignation from Effie Gutierrez on the planning board at this time. And just include that in the minutes then.
I'll put it in the update.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? Then, motion to close the meeting, who'd like to do it? Everyone.
Motion to